Okay, so it looks like we are live, this crazy band of characters. So everybody, welcome to our WPAMA. You can ask us anything as long as it's related to WordPress, WooCommerce, and it's appropriate because we won't take jerks, but we will take good questions. So that's basically all I've got to intro what we're doing here. No question is too simple or too complex. If this cast of characters can't answer the question, we will find the answer for you and follow up with you afterwards. You can leave your question in the Facebook Live chat area. You can also leave your question in Zoom if you're joining us via Zoom. And with that, I'll go ahead and let each one of you introduce yourselves so that people know who the experts are on this panel. So hold on here. Let me put it in speaker view, and I'll go on mute.
Hi there, my name's Topher. I work for BigCommerce. I'm a developer advocate, which means I have loyalties both to the company and to developers out in the world. So I get to work a lot with developers, and we talk a lot about BigCommerce and e-commerce in general. And I'm a WordPresser from way back, so that's where my heart really is. So happy to talk about WordPress and e-commerce all you want.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Butcher Jones. I work for Thrive Digital Agency. It's based out of Arlington, Texas. We do everything from website design, development, launch, hosting, support, all the way to digital marketing and PPC. I am one of the support specialists, so I fix all the things that become broken and run updates and things of that nature. I've been in WordPress for 10 years now, actually, and we do everything from e-commerce to your normal everyday business sites and enterprise down to small businesses.
I'll jump in. My name is Kathy Darling. I am a plugin developer for myself. So I am, let's say the two primary plugins I'm working on right now are WooCommerce Name Your Price and WooCommerce Mix and Match products. So I'm pretty much responsible for everything related to those, including support and customization and making sure they don't break too often.
All right, who's up next?
My name is Niall Flores. I am a WordPress designer and developer out of blondish.net. I'm also the infection cleanup specialist at WB Fixit. I'm also a contributor to the GoDaddy blog, and I've been in the WordPress community since the very beginning, since the B2 Cafe log days. So I feel like kind of ancient these days. That's the very abridged version.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Bob Dunn. I'm known as Bob WP. I'm a patch of moss on the WordPress ecosystem. I've just been here, I've been there, and I've been around a while. Right now, I do a lot of publishing and podcasting around WooCommerce, and pretty much you can find me anywhere. Just look up Bob WP.
And I'm David Lockie. I have been in the WordPress space since 2007. Started out freelancing and then started Pragmatic. We're a WordPress specialist agency based in Brighton in the UK, and we do a lot of enterprise level WordPress work. So yeah, really pleased to be here. Thanks, Mendel, for organizing it.
Awesome. And I guess we made it through everybody, so that leaves me. So I'm Mendel. I'm gonna mute everybody else. Ha 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 ha. Hold on here. Cool. All right. So I'm Mendel. I am the agency developer advocate at Nexus for WooCommerce. Nexus is a liquid web brand, and we do really awesome managed WooCommerce and managed WordPress. And I get paid to do fun stuff like this, like get community together and talk about WordPress and WooCommerce and help people out, and just generally spread WordPress and WooCommerce cheer to the agency community and the broader WordPress and WooCommerce community. So I'm super excited to have everybody here, and I'm super excited to see what questions, if any questions, come in. Hopefully they will. So if you have a question, please leave that question in the Facebook comments on this video, and we will do our best to answer them with this cast of characters, or this cast of experts, so as it is. So knowing that we might need to get things started a little bit, I've asked all of the people on this expert panel to bring with them a tip or two that they can share, and something that they can demo using a screen share or something like that. And so while we're waiting for some questions to roll in, I wanted to see if one of the panel had something that they wanted to share with everybody, the internet. Oh, I should unmute them though. Oh wait, no, they can unmute themselves. So who wants to volunteer? The fearless. Who's it going to be? All right, Niall, go for it. You looked like you really had something to say. Wait, can nobody really unmute? Uh-oh.
I
No,
can.
we can unmute.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, cool.
We're just choosing not to.
I love it. I love it.
I've still not had enough time to come up with a cool idea or tip or trick yet, so I'm still thinking.
All right.
I do have a couple.
Cool.
And let me get to it. Let's see. All right. So one of the things I actually was telling Mendel about the other day was something that I've been working on. Well, a lot of my clients who are bloggers, they're actually getting into selling merchandise, like printed t-shirts and everything else. And I've been enjoying working with Printful in the integration for WooCommerce. And so basically it's actually a free plugin, and it's free to sign up with Printful. So basically, yes, I am actually in my store and everything. So I'll give you, actually I'm working on something for Smudge the Cat memes. And basically t-shirts, stickers, all sorts of stuff and everything. So, and then like iPhone, Samsung cases and everything using Smudge the cat. It's a very trendy meme these days and everything. And our group is about to reach 50,000 members. And so basically the integration is really easy. Once you install it, if you're already signed up with printful.com, you can just log in, and if you've already created products, you can sync it over, and then you just put in whether you're using PayPal or Stripe or whatever other payment gateway, and then just sell it. So it's actually pretty easy. I know I'm going through this a little quick, but I don't know how much time I have to really go through and everything. So we haven't really launched this one yet. So these are some of the settings. It's not really, usually the plugin really does much of it for you. And then you just have to do some of your WooCommerce settings for like your shipping, your basic information, like from where you're at and everything. Your payment gateway, whether it's PayPal or Stripe or whatever. So it's really easy. I think so. And if you're looking to make another type of income stream in your creative, or you're partner with somebody who's creative, this is actually really easy to be able to get something out there. So without having to go into my next example, sorry, I'm having a problem with switching screens. There we go. So
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so that's awesome. That's Printful. I use Printful. I use Printful for custom hats for an outdoor community that I run, and it's super simple. So I dig it. By the way, you can take as long as you want on your demo because we're burning time until we get questions. And if we don't get any questions, well, then we saw some really cool stuff. So, yeah. So, awesome. Thank you, Niall. So who else? Well, first, please leave questions. If you have questions about WordPress or WooCommerce, leave them in the chat in Facebook. I'll put another call out on Twitter as well. In the meantime, who else has something nifty to share related to WordPress or WooCommerce? I know y'all do. Just who's going to jump into the fire?
Mine's almost ready.
Yours is almost ready?
Almost ready.
Okay. All right, cool. What about you, Bob? Do you have something wacky and wild?
I could share something. It's not in my dashboard, but it's a blog post with screenshots, so maybe that would work.
Cool, yeah. Tell us about it.
Let me just move that over here, and I'm gonna. Let's see here. Make sure I'm. Okay. Can you see it all here?
Yep, we can see.
Actually, sticking in the realm of WooCommerce, I know people have been talking about gift cards a lot with everything going on, and there are some services out there as well. But I just wanted to share real quick a gift card extension that just came out like within the last week or two. So it's really simple to use. You don't have any extra charges. And basically, you just go in, and for those of you that are familiar with WooCommerce, you just go in and you can create it as a simple product, or you can create it as a variable product. You'll go in and you can set it as days to expire. So you'll create a gift card actually as a product. So it'll just automatically create it. You'll create a gift card, you put the amount on it, and the gift card product page comes up. So it's just like another product on WooCommerce. Real simple. People put in who it goes to, who it's from. They can put in a message, add it to cart. And then basically the people get it. They get a code. And if they have an account on your store, it'll be in their account. So they can go in, see where it is. They can add one to the inside of the account, and they'll be able to see the balance at any time. So it's really simple to set up. I mean, there's not a ton to go over. And then you can go in and manage those as well, and go in and see, all the gift cards that are out there. You can actually edit the information if you need to do that. And this is a email they'll get. Says gift card is ready, but the message has a code on there. And like I said, you'll just go in and redeem it, because now you'll have an option on your page when they're at either the cart or the checkout, and that's totally up to you. It says have a gift card, you put in your code, comes up, and then as I said, in your account, it shows you what your balance is. So just another option. There are other options out there as far as WooCommerce, and there's other options out there as far as just putting it on your WordPress site without WooCommerce. But that is one of the options. So that's pretty much it. Pretty
Cool.
slick.
So how long does it take you to add the gift card option to the site?
Oh, I'd say it'd probably take you about, do the extension, create the gift card, publish. Maybe have it all, feel good about it within 30 minutes. If you know WooCommerce, if you have a little bit of sense of how to do that, but it doesn't have a ton of options and a ton of settings. So it's pretty straightforward.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So while we're waiting for people to throw some comments with questions into the feed, I'm going to go ahead and show you all something. This is my little trick. Let me share my screen. Moving the live stream stuff and the comments to the other screen really quick. Okay. So share desktop 2. Okay. Cool. So let's say that, oops. Cool. Let's just check and do not disturb too. Okay. So let's say that your website gets hacked and you're still able to get into the WordPress dashboard, but maybe you've disabled a hacked plugin and you really need to recover your WordPress installation. A lot of people offer a lot of options to do this all over the internet. Hey, what's up, James? And so one of the tricks that I've used since I was building websites for people is installing WordFence just for the cleanup phase, and I'll show you why. So when you install WordFence and you do a scan, so I'll show you the scan. I guess I have to put in my email address. I already get stuff from WordFence, so okay. So I won't enter premium key, and so I'll go over to WordFence and I'll just go to scan. And the reason I like WordFence is because when it scans, it actually scans for malware, but then it also takes a comparison between the files, the plugin files on your website and the core files, the core WordPress files on your website. And it compares them against what's in the repository. And if they don't match, then it will tell you, hey, these don't match. Would you like to use the legit files from the repository? At which point you can click yes and clean those particular files and get everything to a base level that it should be at with plugins and themes using the files from the repository. Now, a couple of caveats here. Number one, you should make sure to make a backup of your website when before you do this, because there's still the opportunity to completely destroy the site. And then the second thing is, what I normally do is I go back and I load the backup that is the most recent that actually allows the site to load. It doesn't matter if the plugins are out of date. It just matters that I can load the site so that I can get WordFence loaded, so that then I can clean the plugins, then I can upgrade all of the plugins and get back to business. So that's my quick down and dirty tip for cleaning a website from malware. Now, of course, you still want to make sure that your passwords are secure and your plugins are up to date and they're secure and all of those good things. But yeah, it's a super quick, easy way to get back on track. So that's mine. And it looks like we had somebody join us. Thank goodness. James joined us on the live stream. What's going on, James? Ask us questions because we want to answer them. They could even be about WAPU. You never know. So everybody, if you have a question, leave it in the Facebook chat, and let's see if we've got some things going on Twitter. All right.
I have something to demo, and then I need to step out for a few minutes.
Cool.
Do we have time for that right now?
Please.
All right. One moment while I get my tabs in order. All right. Oh, there's always so many more buttons to share my screen than I expect. So you see my screen all right? This is one of my favorite plugins because it harkens back to the old years of the web. You remember image maps? This plugin lets you make something like image maps, where you can use your mouse to create areas of an image, and then when you click, something happens. This is a demo. This guy, it's actually a live site. This guy builds these awesome desktops, and then you can hover and click to get his Amazon affiliate link. People use this for doing like what's in my bag and stuff like that. And I want to show you how it works real quick because it is super cool. Here's my BigCommerce WordPress site, and there's this cool little beanie that we're selling. If you go to add new, draw attention, then I'm just going to put in my hat, choose the hat from the featured image, and then I'm going to publish real quick. And now you can make clickable areas, and you can make more than one clickable area per image. It's just like what we saw in that thing with the computers. But I'm just going to put in BC logo. And then what happens when you click? Right now, it says show more info, and you can put in a description and a detail image. But your other options are to go to a URL like the guy was doing with Amazon. But you can put anything in here. You can put in a WooCommerce link. But you can also display BigCommerce product. So I'm just going to go to that same beanie. And then you can choose to have the extra information show up on the left, right, bottom, top, tooltip, or light box. And I'm going to do light box. And then, so now that thing exists, sort of like a form would exist with a forms plugin. So I'm going to throw in a new post. Now, this is where the magic comes in. This is where content marketing comes in for e-commerce. And I can't recommend content marketing enough, no matter what platform you're using. It rocks. So now I can. Uh-oh, did I not do it right? Oh, ha. You go click, 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 click. There we go. Now, oh, come on. I just did this a minute ago and it worked great. It says I have one. And there's my action. Wait till this finish loads. brand new post. Huh. Well, now it doesn't want to work.
Because you're actually showing it off, Topher.
That's it.
You-
Live
Yeah,
If
this
it-
is the excitement of a live demo for sure.
live demos are the best. But I literally did this like in the minutes before showing it.
Is it a cache issue?
Shouldn't be. You need to define some clickable images. Well, let's do some more clickable images. Why not? Add another area.
And folks, this
This
is
kind of
why
shows
we
off
do-
the ability to do really weird custom shapes. So this one, top of that.
Was there some message at the top that told you something still needed to be done? I thought I saw something, but maybe not.
That's just setting up my store for
Oh, okay.
BigCommerce.
Okay.
Oh, and you know what else I'm gonna do?
You don't have to save the actual map, do you? Down below.
Haha, look at that. I have two. I don't want two. So let's trash that one. Is this the right one? I hope so, because I trashed the other one. Yep.
Oh, that looks like the right one.
Yeah. I bet I need to reload. Nope. I give up.
So
But it's really cool.
even experts, yeah, but that's a cool plugin. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's the name of that plugin again?
WP Draw Attention. There's a free version on .org and then a paid version here.
Cool.
It's a 2-person team. They sell plugins. I like them. But yeah, it really, every time I look at this, it brings home the uniqueness of content marketing. This is something you're not going to find on Shopify or even BigCommerce Core, like other SaaS platform. This is something cool that WordPress does because WordPress is flexible enough to let people do it.
Yeah, that's super cool. I had never seen that before, so I'm gonna go check it out. Yeah, super awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Topher, and if you can come back in a little bit, super awesome. I want to put out a call again to ask some. Carlos says, "LOL, A for effort." That's awesome. So and James says, "Blame the Goots." I believe he's referring to Zagutenberg. Anyway, so if you have a question, leave it in the Facebook chat, or if you're just hanging out, just hang out. David's up next. He has a longer demo, or maybe it's not longer because that one got longer. As we fumbled around trying to figure out the mapping, but anyway, David, take it away. Let's see what you have to share.
Who's timing these things anyway? So I'm not gonna do one of the longer ones to start with. I'm gonna start off with just a cool plugin I found for my personal site. So can you all see the screen? Yeah, cool. Right, so I've been feeling like I haven't been very creative this year. So one of the things I said to myself is that I'm going to post a photo to Instagram every week. And then I thought, well, obviously I need to put that on my own WordPress site, because what good is it putting photos on Instagram if you can't use them to decorate your own site? And so I came across this cool plugin called Integrate. It was so cool that I paid for the premium one. And it basically lets you connect up your WordPress account to your Instagram account, and then to sync all of your photos over from Instagram so they go saved as posts within WordPress. So here I am in my WordPress CMS, and this content I posted directly to Instagram, but Integrate has pulled it all back over. It's inserted it as an image. It's pulled the title over, and you get a whole bunch of controls in the settings to let you control it, but also to template it up. So you can bring tags over, you can manipulate stuff on the way, but it's just a really nice way of so this is all I've done. So I've challenged myself to do this weekly photo thing. So now I just have a page on my site which is weekly photos, and you know, these are all my 20 photos so far. So hopefully by the end of the year I have like a nice grid of 52 photos, and I'll feel better about being a little bit more creative. So one other thing that I think is worth kind of highlighting is just how cool Gutenberg is and how easy it is to do stuff with it. So I literally haven't written any code on this site. It's just a StudioPress theme. I installed a couple of block plugins. So one of them is this one, Ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg, and that ships with a bunch of where is it? There is somewhere like a list of different blocks that you can turn on or off, but one of them is this post grid. So you can choose which post type you want to bring through. You can control, you know, which taxonomy you want to use, the number of items to show, how to order it, and you can pretty much just create any layout you want of a custom post type. And so I just thought that was super cool, because like last time I tried to bring Instagram onto a WordPress site, it was like, you know, it would bring them via the API, but they were still hosted on Instagram. And so you didn't get that granular control of being able to say, actually, in this blog post, showcase my latest photo as well. So this is just a really nice way of like, backing up all of your Instagram stuff. So I now have like a copy of everything I've posted to Instagram, but also being able to curate it into my own personal site. So I just thought that was like a super neat couple of plugins, one to fetch them and one to lay them out. I thought that was cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a super cool plugin. And Niall, you said that you like that one, huh? She's shaking her head. I don't think anybody can see her shaking her head, but she's shaking her head. Yeah.
I was actually looking at the plugin features actually on the WordPress.org, and then I flipped over to the actual website for them. And actually, because I run a nail hobby blog on the side, and it's heavily reliant on Instagram, because that's a big old thing in Instagram, the nail art-ish, you know, hobby kind of stuff. And that actually, what I've had to do was actually manually post all my pictures per post. And this actually would save me a hell of a lot more time than just having to manually post and everything all the time.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we do have we have a couple questions on the Facebook feed here. So so we have some stuff about multi-vendor sites and ensuring each vendor can view their orders. If there's any expertise around multi-vendor sites, it'd be cool to answer that question. We also have a question about backups. What are the essentials? What should you know when you're backing up a WooCommerce site? Then we have one about Gutenberg. So what are the reasons to use Gutenberg? Some people have talked about the reasons not to use Gutenberg. But maybe we should do, you know, what our favorite features are with Gutenberg, and we could do a little compilation, because I dig Gutenberg. I like it. And then there's a question on here about Divi specifically. So for the multi-vendor and the Divi questions, if there isn't particular expertise on this particular session, then we could get some experts related to Divi and to multi-vendor plugins as well. So David just asked me in our chat if you could tell us what multi-vendor plugin you're using. So that would be super helpful, and then we could see if we could get you some targeted advice there. Let's talk about backups for a second, though, and maybe we can talk about essentials, plugins that you use for backups, maybe some of your tips and tricks, things that you think are important for people to know. I'll start with my backup tip, and that is make sure that you're backing your site up every day, and make sure that those backups are being backed up to a third party. So a third party site, whether it's Amazon or some other external storage, Dropbox. I do that sometimes as well. I'll send backups over there, but that's my tip. Who else has a tip on backups or plugins that you use?
I have lots of things on backups. My favorite place to back up to, though, is Amazon Web Services with the S3 account. Mainly because I can keep all my client sites in there, all my sites, and it's just easy. First thing is look to see what your hosting provider gives you. They often, a lot of them will give free 30-day revolving daily site updates. Backups. And with those backups, they typically are saved within the client's cloud storage. But don't always depend on those. Still make yourselves another backup. For free versions, my favorite one is Updraft Plus. But then with paid, I really like Jetpack's Flavor. I have used Backup Buddy, which is great, but they tend to not like your larger enterprise sites.
Cool. And wow, that was a lot of knowledge that was dropped like quickly. I liked that. What about large sites? So how do you suggest backing up large sites? And maybe this is a question for David, as far as kind of like making things bulletproof backed up for enterprise or sites that have like a lot of images and things like that. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, and I think I definitely agree with everything that Michelle said. I like Updraft Plus 2 for small sites. I definitely rely on our hosting provider to reliably back up and keep a series of rolling backups. So we do a lot of hosting with WP Engine and have for a long time. I think running backup processes is like heavy on resource. So like for me, it's always better done. Like the primary backup should always be done by the hosting company because they can control the resources, and it's just much more efficient to do it rather than asking PHP to do the whole thing. For larger sites, I think there are different backups for different components of the WordPress site. So, the code should always be version controlled, push through like development workflows. So, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, whatever it is, that should always be, the god for code. In terms of assets and media, I think when you start scaling up, it makes much more sense to store that off-site as well. So a lot of organizations will use like a digital asset management platform, to host all their media. Otherwise, kind of easy options are just pushing everything out to S3. Delicious Brains, who just seem to be like incredibly clever. One of their awesome plugins, offloads media, WP offload media. They changed the name of it. I can't remember what it's called now. That's a really nice little plugin. And then the other advantage of pushing media out to a storage location like S3 is that it then sits behind its own CDN. So you put CloudFront in front of it, and suddenly you've got edge cache for all your media. So it's got a good performance impact there as well. You obviously need to back up what's in your S3 and check your security permissions. Like, you don't want to just leave open S3 buckets lying around. So I think if you're going to start playing with S3, you need to make sure you know what you're doing. You can, like, I've definitely been caught foul of like retention policies before. Like, uploaded a bunch of stuff, the automatic like delete after 30 days policy's been on there, and like I've been unpleasantly surprised by that. So yeah, definitely get some expertise there. And then assuming that you've got your code somewhere, your media library offloaded somewhere else, then it's really about backing up your, the WordPress database. And that can be done most reliably through the host. So what I'd want to see is that hosting driven backup being stored locally on their cloud, but also ideally replicated on my own cloud storage. And probably once every 15, 30 days, I'd recommend just taking like a backup totally external to that as well, just in case there's some sort of systemic problem. But things like BlogVault or WordPress that just do like real-time continuous backups can be a real lifesaver as well.
Yeah, I found that I'll use the Nexus automatic backup, and then just as a a safeguard, I'll take something offsite as well, so that I just know I have it in multiple places. And I think of the host space backup as like the convenience backup, right? 99.9% of the time, it's going to be there. But if you have two copies, then it's always going to be there, right? There's very small possibility that you wouldn't have it. And so I love doing it that way. I back everything up on Dropbox so that's syncing directly, and then I also have that convenience backup on the Nexus hosting side, so that I can restore quicker than having to transfer things back to that server, back to that network. So
going on that, Mendel, I'm going to expand it even more.
Do.
If your hosting does backup and you are wanting to restore something from one of their backups, take a look at what it is restoring. There are some hosting companies that you can in plugins that you can restore either like all the files or just the database. There are some that do it all in one shabam, and that's your only choice you get. And then there's some where you can just refresh the plugins folder. So make sure you know what you are refreshing before you click that button, because if you haven't made a backup of just your database, and say you're wanting to push from XYZ hostings yesterday backup, but they do everything all at one, you will lose all your leads from whenever that backup was made up to the moment that you're refreshing it.
Yeah, interesting point. Yeah, the incremental thing is particularly difficult with WooCommerce, right? Because you have to make sure that you have all the orders backed up, and you have all the payment details and the shipping address. If your website goes down, in between your last order and when you ship, it can cause a bit of an issue. So a funny, simple way to keep some information is just to make sure that you have notifications going to admins so that you have an email box where you're at least getting information should your website go down. Now, there are more complicated setups where you can do replication, you can do syncing and things like that as well. And for super high availability sites that are processing, an order a second or 5 orders a minute or something like that, it might be interesting to look into custom solutions. I remember working on an e-commerce site back in the day that synced through Microsoft Navision, which is an ERP system from Microsoft, and there was always an issue with queuing, but the idea was that an order would come out and it would go to a queue, and that queue could be re-triggered at any time. So there was always kind of a record in a couple different places of these orders and where they were at and how much they were for and the payment, the payment method and things like that. So that very rarely did we see orders that were placed that, if there was an issue with the website, they didn't get processed eventually. Sometimes there was a queue to get there. So yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts on backups? I know that WP Site Sync, that's an interesting thing that's come out recently that helps with some of that incremental stuff, or at least working between a backed up staging environment and a live site. Has anybody played around with WP Site Sync?
Yeah, I have. You know that, Mendel. Yeah.
Actually,
what do you think
about it, Bob?
Yeah, I did do a post on it. I won't bring up the post, but yeah, it's pretty sweet because it lets you move stuff from your local or your staging site right to your live site, and it's all around product content. So if you're concerned about moving it, you're able to it won't actually overwrite customer orders, any of the customer data at all. I mean, if you want to go ahead and shoot out 4 or 5 new products, you can get them all tested, everything done, and then you basically just sync it to your site and bam, they're on your live site. So you don't even have to mess with your live site in that sense. And same with just updates and edits. I mean, if you want to, do edits to an existing product or whatever. So it's easy. It's really slick. And it's I could, let's see, if you want me to, I could pull up at least a couple screenshots because I don't think I have it installed anymore.
Give us a little sense of what WP Site Sync does. Now, of course, this isn't a backup solution as much as, well, you might be able to use it in the other direction as a backup solution, but this is more of a development environment syncing solution. But still pretty cool. So yeah, show us a little bit about it, Bob.
Okay, so let's
and while Bob's getting that ready, if anybody on the live stream, anybody at all, I don't know, I see AJ there. I see James. I see Chris. I see Carlos. If any of y'all have questions, jump in here. I even see Jess. She's been awfully quiet. So if you all have questions, throw them into the chat, and we'll try and answer them.
Okay.
Carlos isn't allowed to ask any questions.
Okay, Carlos, no questions. You're not. Michelle says no, and I stand by Michelle. So
okay, I could show just real quick here. Let me just share this. Okay, so I could be really lazy and just play this video for 8 minutes and we could all watch it, but I'm not going to do that. Essentially, the only screenshot I have here is the general settings. So, once you connect it to your staging or local site, you're going to be able to go in here and, control which roles are allowed to use the syncing, and you'll put in your target site. Once you have that all set up, it's just this will be on your product page. So when you are ready to go, you just basically you do, whether you're creating a new product or if you're editing a product, update it on your staging or your local site, push the target, bam, it's right there. It's really that simple. And like I said, on my video, I actually do a live demo of it. So if somebody is interested, they can find that on my site. But yeah, it's and it does. I have it listed up here. It will do your categories, tags, or your taxonomies, your product images, your galleries, pricing, your tax and shipping settings for each specific product. So there's a few other things. It doesn't work with some specific extensions right now for WooCommerce, but it does really well. And of course, they have a WooCommerce. This is a WooCommerce add-on. Of course, they have their site sync, which does the same thing for just any WordPress site as far as your content. So it'll do that for your posts or pages.
That's cool. And so this is made by the ServerPress people, right? So, so they have a lot of experience in creating, a platform to work locally on your WordPress site, and then to push that to your live site. And so this is kind of an accessory to that, which is pretty neat. Well, this is a good segue to something that Kathy wanted to talk about, which was WordPress staging. And we're not forgetting there are some more questions to answer. We won't forget those questions, but I want to hear about WP staging from Kathy.
Okay, first I have to ask kind of a silly question, but where do I go to share my screen?
Oh no, this is great. Okay, so look, if you see my head or if you see your head, look directly down from there, and there will be a green share button.
Share. Okay. Share. Which one of these are we going to share? Screen. Okay, we need to not share us watching ourselves. I don't have too many tabs open like everybody, but the comments and the discussion about site sync kind of got me thinking. Since you assigned us something kind of cool as a tip to talk about, one of the plugins that I use a lot when I'm actually supporting the customers who buy my own plugin is this plugin WP Staging, because if your host doesn't provide staging environments, then this plugin will help you get a staging environment set up with just a few clicks. And I'm really glad that I did this at the beginning of the chat, because mine was kind of slow since I have a lot of like node modules, Git files and things. But once it's installed, you basically will go to WP Staging, start, create a new staging site, and I think it might be starting already. Oh, no, we're good. Because yeah, like I said, once we saw that live preview earlier, and I didn't want to be doing live demos because I would have to talk too much. Anyway, you type like any generic name. I usually use staging, and then you click start cloning. This is already in use in my case because I've already done it. Start cloning, you'll go through a process. When it's all done, you'll end up with another site just called like yourwebsite.com/staging. And when you log into that, you'll notice they make this bright orange admin bar just so that you know you're in a staging site. And I use this a lot because I have to tell my customers pretty frequently that they need to switch themes, disable plugins, so we can sort of isolate where the problem is coming from. And you don't want to do that on a live site. So being able to let everybody create a staging site fairly easily and fairly painlessly helps me a lot in helping other people debug their websites.
That's super cool.
And I know they have a premium edition, which I think I have a license for, even though I don't really use it too much. But I know one of the premium features does allow you to sync the changes you make on staging back to your live site. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And like I said, I use this one fairly frequently.
That's awesome. So where does it, sorry if you mentioned this, but where does it duplicate it to? Does it create new tables in the database and split it off into a different subdirectory, or?
Yes, I think both. I think you get new tables in the database, and they're prefixed with like staging 1 or something, and then you get all the files copied into another folder. And then one other good thing is that when you're done, it cleans itself all up. You just go back into your live site's WP staging settings, admin screen, and you can delete a staging site when you're done with it, which is pretty cool in my opinion, because then I never have to work on anybody's live site, which makes me a lot happier and a lot less stressed.
Yeah, I think it's super neat. I didn't know this existed, and so it's pretty cool. I'm learning so many things today, which is the nature of WordPress, right? You can have done so many things in WordPress in your life, and still there's more to learn because somebody's creating something new every day, and somebody's using something new every day, or using it in a new way, and so that's super sweet.
At Thrive, for our client sites who are not really wanting to move to our hosting, and they're on the basic no staging, no frills type of hosting, we use the WP staging plugin a lot. It's came in helpful more times than not, that's for sure.
Sweet. So if you wouldn't mind unsharing your screen, Kathy, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yes.
So that we can see everybody's beautiful faces. And cool. So there was another question about Gutenberg. And so, before we go on to that, Niall has some more thoughts about backups. So Niall, take it away.
All these tips and everything. However, when a lot of times when we tell people about why the backups and everything, and we give them all these tips on backing up to third-party places like Amazon or Google Drive or wherever, and also staging and everything else, we forget the security aspects of that backups can actually help with. In fact, we haven't really said it, but we've kind of hinted to what we should be doing is testing these backups on occasion to make sure that they work. When I clean up sites on occasion, I've actually found some glitchy backups where somewhere during the process, the client on the client's end, it just didn't go through properly. And so test, and then they're like, oh no, I didn't test it. So now we have to clean it up. We don't have a working backup to save them and make the process easier of securing them. So we have to go the long way to secure them. And then on the backup end, on putting it offsite, a lot of web hosts, a lot of people don't really read the terms of services for as a beginner. In fact, some people even 10 years down the line don't even realize this, but actually you can be terminated for storing too many backups on your server, on your web hosting account. Many of the big ways have this.
That's dependent on the particular agreement that you have with your host, right? So the stuff isn't the same across the board, but yeah, I've heard of that happening.
Yeah, some have two. So they say, oh, you can only have two. And some people are like, well, is that cPanel, like for the cPanel based people, does that mean two of those or does it mean the other? No, it means when they say two, it means two of any type of backup. And then depending on how big it is, if you don't have a big account and say you starting to get a bigger website, like maybe it's very image heavy, and those tend to be, especially photography sites, those images are huge. So you want to make sure that to test and make sure everything that works, and also not to do too many backups.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's a good thing to watch out for. Some people, some web hosts might keep backups on the same server that they're storing the website on, and so you might end up reaching your disk quota by backing up your site. So you need to check on some of that stuff especially if you have an account where you're sharing the account with multiple domains, that could be a gotcha as well. So that's a really great call out. And I'm also going to mention that it's important to look for solutions, external solutions that are password protected, they're encrypted, that you're not just exposing your client's backups or your backups to the entire world. So, oh look, Topher's back. I will admit him. Topher's back. Woo! Cool. So thank you for that, Niall. The next, oh, Michelle's raising the roof. I like it. So the next thing I want to talk about, we got a question about Gutenberg blocks. Before I do that, we've got some people joining. Before I do that, I want to ask everybody on the Facebook Live, if you can, please send us your questions. And if we can't get you an answer today, then I'm going to ask some friends to join me next time. And those friends will have expertise in the areas that you're asking about. And we'll get you answers. But in the meantime, no, David, not smarter friends, just friends with different expertise. So let's talk Gutenberg really quick. So I'm curious if you have any Gutenberg tips, or if you have just things that you love about Gutenberg, or things that you've come to enjoy that have made your life a little bit easier when it comes to Gutenberg.
I would say my number one is don't let it stress you out, because Gutenberg is here to stay.
All right.
And we all were first timers learning just WordPress with the live and text editor. It's just something new to learn for us. I kind of like it. I've switched over Can't Speak Geek over a year ago on it, and it's made it so much easier for like when I'm doing my interview posts, because I can just copy it over, change the answers and some colors, and done. And it takes me a whole lot less time of making those.
Cool. Does anybody have an example, maybe a screen share of a cool block that they really like, or any ideas around some of the Gutenberg block libraries that you really dig? Anything like that? I know Bob has something to say about Gutenberg, but wanted to see if maybe that jogs people's thoughts, and you can queue up a little demo on a Gutenberg block that you really like. I'll let Bob take it away though. Hold on here.
Okay, just real quickly, as somebody that spends their life in the editor daily, when I switched over, I think that, as Michelle was saying, don't be freaked out about it. Secondly, you'll probably find, what I found is that it actually helps me to create my content more fluently and easier once I got used to it. And I think that's the key, just as Michelle said, get used to it. You give yourself some time to get used to it, because I can create my posts, I can create the content I want. Everything is done so much easier these days, and I would dread going back to the classic editor.
All right, so you heard it here. Bob is scared of the classic editor. He never wants to see it again. That's awesome. Does anybody have a block they want to show off?
Yes, I'm trying to see if I can load it up. I, unlike Bob, do not spend that much time in the editor, because I blog at about a rate of once every 2 years. So, but I did just post something semi-recently for me. And one of the things I liked the most was I added a block for that like connects to Giphy or one of the other GIF generating services. So I was able to just like throw GIFs into the middle of my blog post with with the immediate media embedding, it was super easy, and it made blogging a little bit more fun for me. So maybe I might start blogging once every year instead of once every 2 years. I'm trying to think of the name of it and pull it up on my website at the moment. Products, plugins, installed plugins. It might just be, there's a couple of really good suites of blocks. I think it might be Advanced Gutenberg blocks as a plugin. That's what I'm running right now. But yeah, I just really liked that you type in, same as you would with Twitter or your phone or something. It was immediately comparable and just usable, and just made Gutenberg kind of fun for me.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love, oh, where is it? I love LAMP. Oh, where?
There's a free plugin called Atomic Blocks that I really like to use as well. That kind of expands your options on what type of blocks to use.
Cool. Yeah, I've used Atomic Blocks before. I remember the thing I was looking for. It was the starter templates by Astra. So this is super cool because if you're not used to building in Gutenberg and you have the Astra theme installed, you can actually use Astra's starter templates to build a template of Gutenberg blocks for you. And then you can go and you can edit those and change them around and things like that. But I think that's super cool because if you need a contact page, you can just zap a contact page onto your website or whatever. So that's pretty fun. They also, by the way, it also works with Elementor, Beaver Builder, and Brizzy. So it's pretty cool. Any other Gutenberg fans out there? Any other cool Gutenberg things you like?
I've got one that's pretty cool. Let me share. So this I found through a recent demo for a client. So this is just it's a site we're messing about with. It's not a live site. And one of their pain points was trying to generate more interaction with social media. And one of the things they wanted was like a quotable, like one of those kind of click to tweet blocks. So let's imagine we want to add one of these. So I've literally just put in, since we've been talking about this, I've installed CoBlocks, which comes with this cool click to tweet plugin. So I can now put in a tweet. I can put in our handle, and then I can update the post. Now, if you imagine doing this with Classic Editor, it would be some sort of shortcode hell of different things. Here, it just stars it up nicely, makes it super obvious it's a click to tweet. You click through and it's done. It's that easy. Since you said, has anyone got a cool Gutenberg block to show off? I've been able to do that. And that's something that I think this client had a quote for £5,000 to build this in Cycle. It's that is literally 3 minutes work, and anyone could do that. It's just knowing that you can do it. So that for me shows the power of Gutenberg.
Yeah, that's super awesome. That's really cool. I like that. Any other cool Gutenberg tips? If not, we can go on to something else. But I think Gutenberg tips are fun. If there are any questions, by the way, in the Facebook, I got to keep throwing this out there. Sorry now.
No problem.
If there are any questions, please send us questions. All of your questions. Man, we might even take questions about life. No questions about life. Just questions about life with WordPress and WooCommerce in it. So
what about life cereal?
Actually, interesting. I haven't had life cereal in a long time. But okay, so Niall, go for it.
I'm going to go ahead and put a screen share up. Mine's about It's really simple about the image blocks and everything. Some of my posts and everything on my personal site and other websites, I have multiple images and everything. And of course, there's a way I want to display things in certain ways that are not just like one image at a time or two images at a time. So there's different ways that you can display, like, okay, I have the two images. We can do that we've done that before. But this, being able to do something like this, where we have like the 3 small images and the 2 other ones, like this actually makes it very unique, very fun, and just different for people to consume content in. Because, you know, when we're looking at things all day and we're just reading and we just see an image and, you know, like, oh, okay, but then we have this block here, this little gallery here. It's great. Let me go to the actual Gutenberg on the back end. It's basically, let me scroll down. So, and adding a gallery and everything, you just upload and then you can arrange these. In fact, if you're in there and you want to change, you can change the different, you know, where you want them to be at too. I really, really like this. And also the fact of the matter is, I do like how the captions are inside the images instead of outside the images. Of course, if they were like white on white, that would be a problem, but you know, that can be fixed with a little CSS. So actually, that's just one of my favorite things to do whenever I'm doing galleries and everything. There's an addition for making these light box that I haven't installed and played with, but I've been reading that FooBox actually works not just with Food Gallery, which that's a very nice little image gallery plugin. But you can use that in conjunction with being able to do the light box with this, and it's very nice and clean. In fact, if you do the premium version of FooBox, it has social share buttons on them. And I like that. So I'm not looking to do that because I'd like to have these shared on Pinterest as well.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you. That's cool. Yeah, I like Gutenberg. I think it's cool. That's my 2 cents, my 1.3 cents. Okay, so so let's go over to Topher. And whoa, Topher just disappeared. Oh no. Okay, well, it looks like David's up next then, because Topher just disappeared. But hopefully we'll get him back. Oh wait, hold on, he's back. Just a sec. Okay, Topher's back. We
Resize my window. Click the leave meeting.
Oh no! So I was like, hey Topher, go ahead and demo for us, and then you immediately disappeared. That was awesome. Okay, so let's do your demo, Topher.
Okay.
Any chance we can get video back, or is that off limits now?
There we go.
Sweet.
All right. So I made that draw attention thing work, and then I have something else to show you.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you're gonna redo the demo on the draw attention.
Just a little bit of it.
Okay, cool.
All right. You see my desktop? Cool. So hit the block. There's the hat. Save the post. And there it is. So you can hover, it shows where you're hovering, it shows you the title. You click and you get a modal. So if this were a real post about this real hat, of course, you would have all kinds of information about it. And then people could just click to buy right within your post. So that just shows off the coolness of content marketing. The next
so that actually it adds a quick view to is that a quick view modal? Can you customize that too, or
it's the default BigCommerce modal.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool.
So if you were on a normal product page, it would be the same one.
Sweet. Okay. Awesome. So you have another one to show us.
Yes, I do. One more. The other day, a woman in England got a hold of me, Elizabeth Clark. She's putting together this site for her local community, Cambridge local shops, listing all the local shops around her and what they're doing right now while everything's locked down. So some are doing delivery, some are doing special hours for old people, all that kind of stuff. But she's doing it all by hand. So it was all posts, and she has a form where people can sign up for their shop, but she was transcribing by hand into atomic blocks and all that kind of stuff. And I thought this could be made faster. So what I'm showing you here is not any cool new tools, but how WordPress can be leveraged with some basic tools to do some pretty powerful stuff. So I built a custom post type for her using Generate WP. So this is code, but all you have to do is copy this code and paste it into a plugin, and it makes these post types. I also use Generate WP to make a taxonomy, which I don't have the link right here, but you can choose business type also. So there's a restaurant, and it's a Chinese restaurant. So then I used advanced custom fields, specifically the free one, because I want this to be super accessible. Let's see, I'll do add new. And we put in all these fields: email, address, is it for public display or not? Do they delivery? All that kind of stuff. Then we leveraged WS Form, and we actually got the paid version of this. And they're offering a 20% discount to anybody who wants to take this and do the same thing. So the form on the front end where shops can sign up directly injects into a post, so as a draft, so that in the end, all Elizabeth has to do is come in here, review it, maybe edit, and publish, which is way faster than she was using Jetpack forms. So she was taking an email, then copying that data into an atomic block. Her formatting was not super consistent and all that kind of stuff. So just those three tools, custom post type, ACF, and a forms plugin, was able to make it so that we can super streamline this thing. I'm going to do a blog post about how we did it so that people in other communities can do it for theirs if they want. Something I can't speak deeply to that she's using. She's using Generate Press, I think it is, a theme. I haven't used it a lot, but what she showed me looked really, really cool. So I just wanted to shout out to them.
That's really cool. And
Yeah.
again, it kind of speaks to the power of the combination of plugins, right? You can do a lot with just a little bit, and in this case, you probably could have done it all for free, but you did it mostly for free, which is pretty awesome. So
yeah, I don't know of a free forms plugin that will auto inject into a post type.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they
That
probably should make it a premium feature because it's a pretty cool
thing.
feature. So.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. So David, you're up next. You mentioned that you have something cool to show the world. By the way, if you're on the Facebook stream and you have a question, please comment, post the question.
Yeah, I can talk about WordPress all day. In fact, I do talk about WordPress all day, every day, Manuel. So hopefully got some interesting stuff to talk about. Yeah, Topher, I love what you did there. Like, I'm a really big fan of CPT UI as well. So you can just build the post types out from right in the WordPress admin. Just find that, like,
Something I forgot to mention. It's something I still have to build out is that I haven't made templates to render the ACF stuff yet.
Yeah.
So that's something that's still I'm gonna have to do by hand, which is some minor coding, but not bad.
Nothing you can't handle, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so look, I'm going to share this, share my screen, the right screen. So this is this is kind of adjacent to WordPress, I guess, but it's really cool, and I want to talk about it. So it's like everyone knows that there are a bunch of problems with business models for the web at the moment. You know, do you want to just take money through ad revenue and give all that data about your users' behavior to Google and Facebook? What happens when the third-party cookie ban comes into Google Chrome? What about registration and paywalls? You know, they're difficult to do well, and they're also kind of clunky because if you're on holiday, do you really want to be like paying £5 subscription for that month? All that kind of stuff. So Coil is it's really a stack. So they have an open protocol called Interledger, which is basically a way of streaming money over the internet, just like you stream Netflix. So it's a kind of a protocol to stream money has to be different from like streaming, you know, like UDP streaming or something like that, because you have to make sure that, you know, somebody sent it, somebody's received it. So the protocol's got all that stuff built in. They've then been working on a draft W3C standard for web monetization, which is basically a way to implement web monetization. And what web monetization is basically a way to take two digital wallets, one on the one that's owned by the website owner and one that is owned by the website visitor, and to allow them to stream money, usually from the visitor to the publisher. And Coil sits on top of those things, so it sits on top of that open protocol, that open standard, and it's a consumer offering. So you sign up for $5 a month, and then any site that you visit, so you get like a little browser add-on, and any site you visit that is web monetized, your browser add-on will distribute a proportion of your $5 to that site. So it's cool because it's kind of like a paywall, but it's not specific to a site. So if you look at one website 1 month, but another one's like got all the hot goss the next month, you're still only paying that, you know, $5 flat fee to Coil, and they're distributing it for you. So I just wanted to look at, like, introduce that as an idea, because I think it could be really powerful for the WordPress community, for our clients especially, and then just like give you a real quick demo of how that works. So this is the Coil homepage. On our live site, we've got web monetization tag, and this is the little add-on that you get here, which is it's turned green. Oh, hello. That little thing. See you in the morning. Sorry. So yeah, you get this little add-on. If you go to a site that is not web monetized, it just lies dormant. But as soon as you've got a web monetized site, it sparks up with this little green dollar symbol, and that means it's transferring money in the background, which is pretty cool. And the implementation for it is like super elegant. So it's just a meta tag. Let me zoom in. So this is literally all you have to do to enable web monetization. You stick a meta tag into your header, and this is what they call a payment pointer, and it's basically a digital wallet address. So it says, like, if you have a digital wallet and you've enabled web monetization, then here's where to send the money. And it's just a very cool idea. It's going to be, you know, they're super into the WordPress ecosystem, the guys behind this, and there's going to be some really interesting stuff coming out soon around showing and hiding different Gutenberg blocks based on whether people are web monetized or not. So anyway, I thought that was cool, and I hope you did too.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's cool. So you can spread around the money to the publishers that you like and that are participating based on the amount of times that you're visiting and enjoying their content, it seems like.
I want to know how many dollars per second can you stream into my bank account?
Well, you know, unlimited really. it's down to what your digital wallet allows to be sent, but there's no limits on which currency you can use. So you can use USD if you've got a USD digital wallet. You can use a cryptocurrency if you've got a crypto digital wallet. You know, if Facebook ever launched Libra and we all suddenly have like Libra digital wallets as part of our browsing experience, you know, it'll happily hook into that. So yeah, it's all about like, I mean, what I like about it is it's like the web, it's like a web native payment protocol, right? It doesn't matter, it's not centralized in any way. It like there's no cognitive load. I don't have to fill in a registration wall or a subscription wall. I don't have to choose who I'm going to pay to. It's just like I go to that site. I must like it because I'm still looking at it. So send it some cents, send it some dollars.
That's cool. So okay, so at this point we're about an hour and a half in, and I'm not seeing any more questions. I know that we have a couple outstanding questions on Divi and on multi-vendor sites, which I'm going to defer to the next time I do this. But I would love for anybody else on here that has something to share it. And we might bolt a little early if we don't get any more questions. I know some people are live streaming, but they can come in and view this later if they want to. So so if there are other things that people wanted to share, now's the time to get in there and share something. And if not, then we can call it quits.
I have actually some tips for, especially right now with so many things being shut down or at half capacity, food places being only like carry out and delivery only. If you have a business site up, be it on WordPress or whatever, make sure you are putting a prominent note, pop-up, banner, something on your site that states if you're open, what flavors of open you are, like if you are only accepting orders right now but not shipping until like say May 1st. But make sure you are showing your customers and your potential customers what they can still do with you, not really looking at what they can't do, because as long as you give options for them to be able to do it, they're going to be more doing it than if you don't have anything up. They don't know if you're open, closed just for now, or because of the COVID issues, closed for good. Make sure you're saying what you can do.
Yeah, that's great. And I also think just making sure you mention that you've updated your information as of this date or something like that, so that people know that it's the most current. I know sometimes I'm looking around for a restaurant to order takeout from or delivery, and I see the hours and I'm like, well, are those hours current as of yesterday, or are they current as of 2 years ago when they first put it up? So
Wait,
yeah.
for example, even though it's not a website, for Southern Illinois, we have a Facebook group called Southern Illinois Eats that's actually ran by two good friends of mine. And both customers and the restaurants alike have been great on updating on their pretty much every day as it's changing, because we went from a lot of businesses being like carry out only to about half of them having to shut down because of only being able to run like half staffed and losing money on it. So with, as you said, if everything, how it's changing, like how I watched in the Facebook group, and with all the declarations being made, you have to change some things almost within hours of each other.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, people have to do things more agilely now than they had before. So that's a really good point. Has anybody heard of Sort of Brilliant? So Megan Haynes just threw onto the comment section sortabrilliant.com, which looks pretty cool and something to check out. I'll have to check it out and then play with it and then give my opinion on what I think of it. Not that my opinion matters, but it's pretty cool. So who else has something? Looks like Topher has something, and
I do.
David, I don't know if he had one more, and then it looks like anybody else? Doesn't look like anybody else had something, but yeah, go for it, Topher.
There we go. Now I'm unmuted. Two things. One of them is really fast. This is not WordPress. This is called Forwarder. It just came out the other day, and it is for sending freelance work to other freelancers when you are swamped. This guy noticed the other day that in times like these, freelancers can often get overwhelmed with work. So it's a good way to share the wealth. I wanted to share a cool tip that I have found that a lot of people just don't know about, and it surprised me because it's really old. I'm on WordPress.org here, and I'm logged in. And when I'm logged in, there's a little heart right here. And if you click it, you favorite this plugin. And you can do the same with themes. Then on your WordPress profiles page, you can see the things you have favorited. But where it comes in really, really handy is when you're in your own WordPress blog and you're going to add a plugin, you can click on favorites and type in your WordPress.org username, and there are your favorites. And then you can just install from there. And the cool thing is you can put in any valid username and see their favorites. So there's Matt Mullenwake's favorites. So I use it sort of like a bookmark thing, like when I'm gonna put a bunch of, building a new site. These are common plugins that I use, and it just puts them all here handy. But you could use it as a promotional thing or whatever. Which leads me to another thing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of My Eyes Are Up Here. This is an amazing plugin. I don't know why it's free because it's ridiculously cool. If you have a tall, narrow picture and you upload it to WordPress, the thumbnail is always square and always gets the middle. If it's a person, it always gets their abdomen. My Eyes Are Up Here is intelligent enough to look at a picture, find eyes, and make the thumbnail be around the head. Optionally, if you don't have a person in it, you can bring the picture up in a little editor thing and click a hotspot and say, I want the mountain to be the thing in the picture instead of the lake or whatever. And I will quit there.
That's pretty awesome. I just learned about the favorites thing, by the way, like a few weeks ago. And I've been using WordPress forever. Yeah, it's so funny. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. And I don't know why. I've looked at that page so many times and never seen it. So
because I am just so type A on the whole, I don't want non-active plugins just sitting there. I tend to use favorites quite often.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so I'll put out one more call for questions and comments, but barring any additional comments, then David will be our last tip or trick presenter. No pressure.
Okay, ready? So this is another integration for WordPress rather than it being specific to WordPress, but it's super cool. We've been doing quite a lot of work with it. It's definitely like an enterprise or kind of large corporate tool, but I think some of the ideas it brings to the table are really neat. So look, this is a site we're messing about with at the moment, and it's our site. So you notice it's got a WP engine. It's like a staging site, right? So the service that we can run this through is
Hey
a service
David,
called.
do you your audio is a little wonky. Is there anything weird going on with it?
Almost sounds like a bandwidth issue.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can get him back. He's not. Oh yeah, you're muted still. There
Any
we go.
better? Any better? Hello, hello.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Go
All right.
for it.
So you notice that we're changing the URL here. So we're running it through this service called Zephyr, and it's like an identity management platform. So the way that it works is it sits in front of WordPress, and it basically intercepts WordPress pages before they're sent out to the user. So it turns like a dumb static WordPress site into like a user stateful site, which is super smart the way it does it. So when you try and do that through WordPress, there are some really good plugins for doing this, but they tend to grind your WordPress site to a halt because suddenly you're taking everything off the cache there, you're running it through PHP in the database, and as soon as you've got like 20 concurrent users, you have to be throwing like decent compute resources at it to do it. So what Zephyr does instead is it just offloads all of that user stateful stuff to a separate service that's designed to do just that. So with WordPress, you just put together the site, put together the page as usual, and then Zephyr is a proxy that it passes through. Zephyr caches the pages, but it can also manipulate them based on you can still see my screen, right?
No, we haven't seen your screen.
You can't see it.
No.
Hang on.
There we go.
Cool. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you still hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes to both.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So this is what implementation looks like. So you have your WordPress site here, and then you run it through Zephyr, which kind of acts as a proxy and a cache. So it can not only cache the page for you, but it can manipulate it based on what you want it to do. So a very simple example is like underneath this heading here in the DOM, I've got a where is it? Yeah, I've got these I don't know, can you read that? My screen's pretty high res. So in the DOM you can see there's this like these two HTML comment tags like Blaze.
We can only see the PDF right now.
Hang on. I'm such a Zoom amateur. I'm going to fail in this new remote world. How about that?
Yeah, we've got it now.
That looks great.
Right. So underneath this title here, we've got these two HTML tags. So they do nothing to the front end. They're literally just HTML tags. But when you pass it through Blaze, it basically acts as like a handle. And sorry, Blaze or Zephyr. They rebranded. I keep calling it Blaze, but it's now Zephyr. It can do stuff with it. So here, for example, we've just put this like facetious text in saying, we recognize that you're coming from a desktop browser. So if we emulate being on a mobile, reload the page, then we can swap that message with something saying like, we recognize that you're looking at a phone. So what that looks like is
basically you set up a bunch of rules within Zephyr. So this is like the homepage welcome one, and you can set up some logic. So you can say, is this a mobile device type? In which case, like show this UI component. In this case, it's just a block of text, but it could be a form, it could be an image, it could be something totally interactive. And then you can flow down to a desktop, again, show that message, or, just default out to removing that block totally. And so where this is really interesting is if you're trying to do personalization with WordPress, then it's a pretty difficult problem to solve if you're only using WordPress, because you're reliant on WordPress doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and you're starting to store a lot of personal data in WordPress as well, which always makes you feel a bit nervous. When we're working with publishers and even brands, often now there's this recognition that there are multiple revenue streams available. So you can serve ads, but you can also do lead generation. You can ask for a follow on social media, sign up to a newsletter. So whether like primary or secondary revenue streams, there are multiple good outcomes for any particular visitor. So you can't ask every visitor to do like 10 different things. You have to be able to still create a user experience that is like super elegant and very clear what you want that user to do. But you may well want a marketing manager to have a different experience to a CEO, right? So for one, you might gate content. For another, you might let them have it, because they're all influencers in a decision-making process, but they have different roles. So you might well want to personalize those journeys. So with Zephyr, for example, you can put up data capture, you can enforce registration, paywalls, and as you learn more about each user, so you can do it, like the example I gave here is just like, it's heuristic. So what device are you looking on? You can also do things like based on IP. So if somebody is in the city center, but they've also visited from a device in like a wealthy suburb, you might infer that they're a high paid city worker. So you might give them a different experience than if they're visiting from like a lower income area, right? I mean, I'm not judging the ethics of doing this, but I think it's really interesting, the problem that publishers are trying to solve with making the most money from every visit and giving people the very best experience. So it could be swapping out an ad for one that's localized. It could be giving people a discount offer if they've come back to the site for a second or a third time. So anything that is about their behavior, about the data they've chosen to share, you can mix all that up in this sort of super easy drag and drop interface and create this logic so that you're taking what's a very static site into something that can be totally personalized. So it's a bit of a trivial example, and sorry for being rubbish at Zoom, but yeah, I just think it's a really neat way of making WordPress do like what it does best, but also being part of something that's so much more.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and it's a feature that a lot of large corporations are using, but something difficult to duplicate for smaller WordPress sites. So this is a cool step in the right direction for creating super customized sites, and super important too with e-commerce, WooCommerce, and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the live stream because it seems like we don't have any more questions. So thank you to all of the people who have streamed this live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave comments about what you'd like to see or what you'd like to hear in the future. Maybe we'll do something slightly shorter the next time and do it more frequently, or do the same length and do it less frequently. I'll take your feedback on the Facebook comments and stuff like that. So we're going to end the live stream right now.